We're going to start in the same way, same shape that we often start the yin practice. But before we start it, I just want to tell you where the meridian lines are that this class is named after, so you can think about it in terms of not really having to remember where they are, but just visualizing where you might feel sensation. So liver meridian line is a meridian line that runs down the inside of the leg. Okay, so it's running down the inside of the leg and it runs across the center of the body. So basically anytime we're doing something with the legs open, we're going to be stimulating that. Gallbladder runs down the outside of the leg, the outside of the hip, and then it zigzags across the whole of the side of our body. And it zigzags across the back of our shoulder and the back of our arm and these sorts of areas as well. Not the arm, sorry, but it zigzags around the back of the shoulder. And then it comes up and zigzags across the side of the face as well. So anytime we're lengthening the outside of the body, we're stimulating gallbladder energy, okay? So don't get too preoccupied with what that means right now. If that's unusual for you, new terms, I'll explain as we go. The setup is going to be super simple, same as normal. So go ahead and get yourself set up. We've got the cushion behind us here. And then I've got my blocks so that I've got one either side of my hips. And I'm going to place them probably on the second height, particularly if you haven't practiced for a couple of days. That area might be a little tight, so give yourself a break. Support yourself as much as you need to. Have a little gap between the lower back and the cushion. And then lie yourself down onto the cushion in such a way that your head is supported. And then go ahead and place those blocks in either towards the knees or in towards the hips. Choose the height that suits you best. And then arms wherever feels good for you. And then go ahead and close your eyes as soon as you feel like you're in a position that is comfortable and supported. And I want you to feel like this is a shape that for this particular pose, you can just relax into. So we're not trying to achieve a stretch or any strong sensation in this shape. This is an arriving into the practice shape, letting go of everything before us. And then just take a big breath in through the nose or the mouth and then sigh it out loudly to yourself as you exhale. And do one more just like that. Big inhale through the nose or mouth, energy drawing inward. And then sigh it out, releasing as you breathe away. And then just make a little moment where you're committing to yourself to allow yourself to really stay present in each moment that you come to. So start to let your mind detach away from everything that has already happened today. And then see if you can let go of everything about every detail of every moment before now. Let go of how you feel about your Christmas period. Let go of how you feel about 2020. Let go of all of the things that you were doing or talking about just before we came to this shape. And then in the same way, commit to not racing forward in time either. This time of year, we place a lot of expectation into the future, particularly after a year like we've all had. And I want you to just invite yourself to stay with the moment. Resist the temptation to try to create some sort of expectation or create some sort of shape about how the hours and days and weeks and months ahead might look. So anytime you find your mind wandering backwards in time or racing forwards into the future, remind yourself that that's either the past or the future, exactly that. And bring yourself back to the here and now. And the easiest way to do that is to come back and notice the breath. So let's start with a really simple breath awareness. Notice as you inhale, I'm aware that I'm breathing in. And you can say this to yourself quietly or just inside of your head. I'm aware that I'm breathing in. And when it's time for the exhale to begin, just saying to yourself, I'm aware that I'm breathing out. And you might shorten it to just be breathing in. or breathing out, or simply in and out. But really use this as an opportunity to commit to stillness, training the mind to be happy with the present moment, no matter how it might look or feel. And while you're here in this moment, aware of the breath, aware of the inhale and the exhale, and just notice how it feels to soften the space in between the eyebrows. Soften around the outside edges of the eyes. Relax the tongue away from the roof of the mouth. Relax the tissues around the corners of the mouth. Let the lips fall lightly apart, teeth lightly touching or also gently apart. And remind your shoulders to relax. Let them just naturally fall down either side of your cushion. And notice how it feels through the front of the throat when the shoulders relax, through the sides of the neck. And then check in with your fingers. Notice if the fingers are tightly gripping inward, or if you can relax the fingers here as well. And then notice how it feels through the belly area. If it feels like that's tight and contracted, or if you can breathe easily into the softer tissue there. And then notice how it feels through the inside thigh. An area that's connected with fear and worry in the Chinese medicine way of thinking. So remind yourself it's okay to be here. You're supported by the props. Every shape that we come to, there's going to be support. Relax the toes, the feet. And notice how the breath already slowed down just while we were working our way from the tip of your head down to the toes. And I want you again and again in this practice today to notice where you can soften. To notice where you can relax. Where can you let go of any holding on. 3 more rounds of breath, just as we are. When the third breath is complete, just returning back to a natural breath. Checking in with how you feel in the mind, in the body. Awareness perhaps of the breath having slowed down quite a lot from where we started. Take another breath just as you are. And then begin to walk the arms in a little closer to your body. Hands eventually finding the thighs, and then guide the thighs back towards each other, feet coming to the ground. And with your left hand, just move the block out of your way so that you can roll off your props and just rest yourself on the left side of your body. And just pause there for a moment. Notice how you feel. Go ahead and bring yourself up to a seat, and I'm going to show and talk you through. So Bandhanasana is a shape that is a banana shape, or a new moon, a crescent moon shape. Okay, so we're going to be creating this spaciousness through the right side of our body first of all. And I'm going to lie us back down in a moment, but it's easier to see it sometimes sitting. So we'll take the arms up overhead and we'll shuffle the upper body over to the left. left, okay? And then maybe the right arm has to come back a bit. And then we're going to let the legs lift and move over to the left. So let me show you, for those of you who need the visual, you'll want to make sure there's nothing to the left of your mat so that you're not going to kick any cups of tea or coffee or cushions or blocks over. So arms will go up overhead. You're going to lift your upper body first of all and just shuffle everything over to the left. Okay, play around with arm positions here as well. And then you're going to keep the bottom on the ground, the whole of the back of the body is on the floor, and then you'll move the legs over to the left as well. And then you're just going to find a position that feels like you can be here and be still. So for me, my legs are a good 5, 6, 7, sometimes 10 inches away from each other. And some of you will find that your legs touch each other, and both of those options are okay. So just take your time. If you're not on your back already, just lie yourself down onto your back. Let the whole of the back loin of the body stay connected to the earth. Reach the arms up overhead. And then begin to move your upper body, your head, your upper back, neck and shoulders over to the left side of the mat. Okay? Check in with your right arm. If it feels awkward in any way or it's lifted from the ground, just bring it back a little to the right. And then keep the bottom on the ground. Lift the legs up and move the legs over to the left. And then just relax into that shape as best you can. And nothing is forced. None of the muscles are engaged here. You're putting yourself into a shape with the help of the muscles. And then you relax the muscles. You let the muscles have a little break so that we can start to access into the deeper layers of connective tissue and fascia here. So close your eyes if you didn't already. And just notice how this feels along the outside line of the body. Notice where you're feeling it, how you're feeling it. What kind of intensity it is sitting at for you. Make sure you're not gripping or trying to hold on in any way. And soften around the jaw, soften around the neck. Guide the energy into the lungs with the breath. And then with your focus on the areas that feel tight, the areas that feel challenged, guide the breath into those areas. And in this shape and all of the shapes still to come, anytime you feel like there's a release, you feel like it's become easier, begin to move your arms and legs a little bit further over. And I'm going to leave you in silence for the next minute or so, just to marinate in this sensation of release. Final minute on this first side. Notice how it feels in the body compared to when we first put ourselves into this shape. The space that's arrived, the change in sensation of how it feels. 3 more breaths. And when the third breath is finished, just begin to unwind. Bring the arms and the legs really slowly with the upper body back to center. Take your time and then bring your arms alongside the body. And just pause. Check into how it feels between the left and right side of your whole body. Sometimes you might feel a tingling or a warmth, a coolness, a numbness. Sometimes it might just feel like there's more space, more length. 3 deep indulgent breaths. And then when the third breath for you is finished, just reach those arms back up overhead. Going to go to the second direction now, so just beginning to lift the upper body first of all over to the right. Let the arms relax down to the ground. Check in with the left arm, see how that feels if you need to make adjustments. And once the upper body is settled, keep the bottom on the ground but lift the legs up and move the legs over now to the right. Feet might be together, they might be apart, it might be different on this side to the first side. All of that's okay. Just get to where you get to and then close your eyes, settle in. And notice how it feels. Notice that feeling of resistance. And notice the feelings of release. These particular meridian lines in the Chinese medicine world are focused around helping us to move towards our fullest potential, to live out our dharma, if you want to think about it like that, our life's purpose. And we're trying to cleanse and release everything that is not helpful for our functioning body. The liver is all about trying to cleanse, to hold on to the good parts that come in and to transform that energy into something useful. And then in the Chinese way of thinking, the Chinese medicine way of thinking, the gallbladder is designed to help us to be able to plan and to make things happen. The liver is the creative part of the relationship within. It's where we get our ideas, our creativity, our desires for what we want to make happen in our lives. And then when the gallbladder is healthy, its purpose is to make the liver's dreams come true, to put into action the plans, the thinking. So in this final minute of this shape, make the adjustments that you need to get a little deeper into the shape as the body allows you. 3 more breaths. And when the third breath is finished, just begin to slowly work your way back to center. Arms, legs, upper body. Arms wherever feels good. Some of you might like to even move a little. You can hug the knees into your chest, roll a little side to side. Some of you might be good to just be still. Whatever it is your body's telling you it's needing, this practice is a really intuitive practice. So listening to my guidance, but listening ultimately to what it is that your body's telling you it needs. Take another couple of breaths, doing whatever it is that you need to do. And then eventually roll yourself over to the left side or rock and roll up to a seat if you're more active, and just gently bring yourself up to a comfortable place to sit. Okay, have your cushion nearby, have your blocks nearby. And know that all of this information that I'm weaving through the class, you can take it or leave it. Listen to the bits that feel helpful. Let go of the rest. Don't feel like you have to listen in on everything that I say. So I'm going to come into Dragonfly pose, taking us now to the inside line of our legs. So coming back around to liver meridian line here. So this is our ability to plan, to dream, to make things creative in their mindset. So my legs are wide, my legs are relaxed, and my feet are just floppy as they naturally tend to roll inward. And what I like to do is sit up tall to begin with on the inhale, and on the exhale I'm just lazily curling my way forward. And I'm filling the gaps between my head and the ground. So sometimes I am just working with blocks and I'm resting my head onto my blocks like this. Most days I'm a little higher, so you can also take your blocks into the second or third height, cushion resting on top perhaps, leaning over the cushions like this. And then if you've got a nice thick bolster, you can also put it on the top edge, the long thin end, and just rest your arms onto your blocks, your head into the cushion. And that will be a really nice starting position for you here. And then anything in between, also valid. So go ahead and play around with the props. See what feels good. And then close your eyes, take your time. Settle in, slow down. Find stillness as soon as you're able to get there. Make sure the muscles, particularly above the knees, are relaxed. And focus on using the breath to stay present. Time and gravity doing all of the work for us in these shapes. All we have to do is put ourselves into them. Slow down the breath. Focus the mind. When we feel like there's release, we make adjustments. We go a little bit deeper. As we go through the practice, I want you to notice your reactions to certain shapes, how they make you feel, how you respond. Notice the differences between the shapes that make you feel really liberated and free, that feel good and easy, compared to the shapes that feel a little more challenging. And let's see if we can try to bring our reactions to be similar, regardless of the situation that we find ourselves in. Knowing that one of the only things that we can control in any aspect of our lives is how we respond to it. Make the adjustments to the shapes that you need as you feel like there's room to move deeper. Final minute here, so if there's any adjustments to the physical shape, go ahead and make those adjustments. And it might just be that you're slowing down the breath. 3 more breaths. When the third breath is finished, just slowly start to roll yourself up, coming back up to a seat. Take your time to arrive and just move your props out of the way to the side. Bring a hand under each of your knees and just slowly bring a bend into the knees. Guide the legs back through to center. And just reach your hands back behind you. We're going to windshield wipe the knees a little from side to side. So just getting a little energy flow back through the tissues, a little awakening. And you might feel it through the outside of the hip a little here as well. So we're going to take our attention back now to the side body. So let me show you how that's going to look. And I'm just going to clear a space for myself. I'm going to bring myself up into downward facing dog for a moment, just to lengthen and reset. And then I'm going to step my right leg forward, coming down into what we call sleeping swan in yin, but you'll know it as pigeon from our yang practice. Shin is not parallel to the top of the mat in any way at all, so it's probably more of a diagonal. And then there's probably going to be a gap between your bottom and the ground, so you'll place a block or a cushion or a blanket underneath, okay? And then you have the option to grab your cushion and bring it in towards your belly and just lie yourself over the cushion here. You can also take the cushion to be parallel to the top of the mat, so this is going to take you a little deeper into the joints, and you'll lie down like this. And some of you might just make a pillow with your arms. And then use your support, use your props, use what you need to for underneath the belly, underneath the chest. And then close your eyes, settle in. Some of us have a relationship with this shape that is really delicious. Some of us have a relationship with this shape where it really doesn't feel so good. As long as there's no pain, any short, sharp shooting sensations, try to stay in the shape and come back to that idea of working from the head down to the toes. Where can I relax? Where can I soften? Where can I let go? I invite you from this shape onwards to begin to notice when the mind wanders away, where does it go to? Is it the same memory, the same thought that catches you and distracts you or tries to distract you? Or is it a different thing each time? First couple of minutes already passed by, so notice how it feels now physically. Where you're feeling it, sensation-wise. Notice how you're feeling mentally being here. Ask to sit still in a shape that can feel a little challenging. And can you pause before you react to the shape? Can you pause before you leave? And remind yourself that what you're feeling in this shape, in any other shape that this applies to, it's just a temporary moment in time. Final minute. Relax the tongue away from the roof of the mouth. Softness around the forehead. Breath still reaching down deep inside of us. 3 more breaths. And when the third breath is complete, just slowly begin to make your way up to your hands. Move any props out of the way and just slowly tuck the toes under, lift the knee, step yourself back to downward facing dog. And it can feel really nice to walk the dog, releasing through the legs, getting a little flush of energy and blood and nutrients back through to the tissues and the muscles. And then for some of us, it's going to feel really good to just come down into child's pose. And we have about 5 breaths. I'll do the counting for you, but about that time span. Movement or stillness as you prefer. 2 more breaths. When the second breath is complete, let's slowly make our way to our second side. Left leg comes forward. Shin adjusts to where we personally need it to be, right leg relaxing downward. We bring a block or a blanket or a cushion underneath the gap between the left buttock and the ground. We take a moment to adjust, see what it is that we need to support ourselves with, no rushing in, no expectations on how it will feel based on the first side. Let it be a fresh experience. Use the support for your body as you need. Let it be okay for this side to feel and look different to the other side. That's the beauty of this practice. We slow things down enough to notice the details, to notice where there's balance, where there are imbalances, so that we can use the moving practices to try to find balance physically. So clear your mind of any expectation about how this side might feel based on the first side. How we sit, how we carry ourselves, how we stand, how we carry things, how we move, what our activities are, how often we sit, which leg we cross over more than the other, how often we stand and move around, how often we drink water, the shape of our bones, the length of our tissues, all of these different factors that can mean that things feel different side to side, morning to evening, day to day. So let go of any temptation to tell yourself any stories about how bad this side might be, whether it be in this shape or any other shapes in the practice, in yin or yang classes. Slow the breath down. Notice where you're feeling it physically in the body. How does this side feel? How do you feel being in this side? Where can you soften? Where can you let go? Where can you lighten? Recognize the things that feel really, really good about the releases that we've come to. Final minute here. 3 more breaths. When the 3rd breath is finished for you, just slowly start to make your way back up to your hands. Move your blocks, move your cushions. Tuck the toes under, lift yourself back up to downward facing dog. A little walking of the dog maybe. Coming down to child's pose if that feels like a more sensible option. So when you're ready, just bringing yourself to lie on your back. And when you feel ready, beginning to let the legs relax down to the mat, coming into your final resting pose, Shavasana. It can feel quite nice to bring a cushion behind your knees for Shavasana here. If you're in a cooler place, go ahead and add an extra layer. Take up as much space as you need to. Arms can be out wide or just simply near the body. Move things out of the way that might bother you while you're here. And then close your eyes, settle into this place of stillness, this place of ease. Allowing the weight of your head and your shoulders, your spine, your hips, your arms and your legs to just gently melt down towards the ground. Supported. Nowhere else to be, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. And taking this time just to be. Slowly starting to bring a little awareness back into the body now as you wiggle the fingers and the toes. Gently reaching the arms up overhead, inviting a full body stretch. And drawing the knees in towards the chest, giving them a hug as you roll a little from side to side, back and forth. Eventually coming to roll over and rest for a moment on your left side. And using your hands when you're ready to lift yourself up to a comfortable seat. And just take a moment to pause, to check in. Notice how you're feeling, how the mind is doing, how the body is doing. And see if you can carry some of these moments of stillness, physically or mentally, with you into the rest of your day, the rest of your week. Coming back to them at any time that you need them. Bringing the hands gently together at heart center. Bowing your head to your hands in gratitude for the practice, in gratitude for our health. Namaste.